started. And we're going to do the SIPs and systems for non-public. And today we're going to kind of talk about end of year documentation because we get a lot of tickets that say, not for sure exactly what we need to have done. So we thought this would be a helpful session to kind of give you some guidance and an additional resource that you can go back to look for to make sure that you have your end of the year documentation. So my name is Stacy Pauling. And I've been with NDE for a couple of years, about 2.5 years now. And my partner is Kim Powell, and she has been here about the exact same amount of time. We both come from public school districts as data stewards. And so we're working with different systems with NDE. And Kim is going to monitor the chat for us today. And if there's any questions, please just put them in the chat. Or there's a small group. So if you just want to come unmute, you can just stop me at any time to ask your questions. I do have just a small little introduction about the things that are end of year documentation, and then we'll have coffee hour. And if there's no questions right away, we do have a presentation put together that we can walk through. And I just want to make sure, Kim, that you can see my screen. It says Systems non-public. Okay.
Yep, looks good.
Okay. So I kind of just went over this. We're going to do end of the year. We do have some other additional NDE guests that are here to answer questions with their applications. So if you have questions for them, you're welcome. We have Sandy Suter is on for accreditation, and then we have Stephanie DeGrout who is on for finance team. Is that the proper department overview?
I'm school finance and pupil transportation.
Transportation. Okay. All right. Yeah. So thank you for joining us today. So we just have some end of the year reminders. In the legacy portal, we have the consolidated data collection. And in there you would have the non-public high school completer form that needs to be completed. And then you have the days in session instructional program hours that needed to be completed. Then you have the ESU district system school information report that needs to be completed, and the report of suspension and expulsions. So that is all in one application, but there's the several different forms that would need to be completed, and that's the CDC. And then we have the pupil transportation that was in CDC, but has been pulled out, and it's a separate application now. And so that would need to be completed. And that's all in the legacy portal. And then we have a couple more things in the legacy portal that would need to be completed is the NSRS validation. So in that actually, I would start with the staff reporting in there, make sure that you've added your day's work for subs. And then any staff changes throughout the school year that you've had that you want to update, I'd make sure that was all done. And then I would move to the NSRS validation, collection. And then I would review the reports. And then I would also make sure that there's no error. So making sure that all the errors and the warnings are resolved or appropriate, because some of the warnings maybe just be appropriate for your school. And then I review the reports and make sure that everybody's being reported as they should. So that's what we have in the legacy portal. There's several things for the non-publics and still in the legacy portal. But there's also things in the new portal that would need to be completed too. So in the new portal, you would want to check the advisor person ID and verify that you have all the students have a 25-26 record. And then if you have any students that have added or enrolled in the middle of the school year or at the end of the school year, you want to make sure that they have a 25-26 record on them too. And then just as a reminder, the SEBT, the summer EBT will need upload. It is opened Monday, yesterday. I'm looking for Kim. Yep.
Yes.
I was out of the office, so I'm catching up quickly. But it opened up yesterday, so that you can start uploading the summer EBT uploads. I don't know, it kind of falls in that end of the year, beginning of the new year kind of thing, but it has a specific date that needs to be completed. So those are kind of our reminders. So we want to start with questions because we're here to answer your questions. So if you have any specific questions right now that you would like to be answered, you can go ahead and put it in the chat or come on mute and ask them. If not, we'll just kind of keep going through our presentation. And then I'm going to ask Kim to share we have a link. We have learned, I've heard more people come online. We've learned that our Zoom, I don't know why I can't think of my words today. Zoom is not collecting our email addresses like we thought. So if sometimes, a lot of times we have some follow-up information, some questions, and we want to send up some follow-up information, and we don't have all the email addresses. So we created this little survey so that we could collect our participants' email addresses so that we can follow up with questions or send out further information if necessary. So if you fill that out, then we'll have your email and it will only be used for just this coffee hour and to send out specific information for follow-up.
I did just send that link again.
Perfect.
And also, we have a question already
Okay.
about SEBT. What is it?
Okay, so that is a great question. So let's I don't even know if I put that in the presentation. So let me grab the website. It's the Summer Electronic
Benefits.
Benefits. And so there is specific information. Let me see if I can grab the link fast enough on my other screen. Kim, do you have a quick way to answer that?
For SEBT?
Yeah.
That's
One.
the extra summer benefits for like food stamps or food stamps. So it's for kiddos who are qualified for free lunches, free and reduced lunches.
Mm-hmm.
You familiar with that extra money they get on their EBT cards to cover the summer? This is how it's verified that they were students.
Yes. Why can I not find it quickly?
Okay. Are you looking for the bulletin or for the
The web
actual?
page. The web page. I always struggle finding it. Can pull up the bulletin. I always struggle finding the specific website. Okay. So here's the bulletin that recently went out that said that it was open. It's the summer EBT file upload process and that has been moved to the new portal. And it is open Monday and it is automatically assigned to anybody that has specific roles. So if you're the administrator of your school and you have that role, then it's already been assigned to your portal or yeah, new portal, and you'll see it there. And then if you are working on it, and like we've been working with some lunch people who are just getting into the portal, they don't have the application, so then they have to do request. So then you have to go to profile request and do the SEBT upload district role. So that is, if you don't get the bulletin, that information went out. And Kim, did you find the website?
Yep, I'm just putting it in.
Perfect.
This is the Coordinated Student Services website, and it tells about the SEBT and has links to a few training videos, etc.
Perfect. That's a great question. That I totally, there we go. So yes, so this is a great page to look over it. This program started during COVID, and now it is a permanent program for, I don't know, till further on, till it's permanent program, I guess, from my understanding from nutrition. So that is where that program came from. So is there
Basically, you're
any
just putting your students in that, and what it does is it links them up with DHHS, then links it if they're qualified for food stamps, then they are qualified, then they're qualified for money to go on their food stamps for the summer, their EBT.
And it looks like on the website there is a 25 summer EBT training that you could recording there that you could look at that, and I probably will give you quite a bit of guidance on what it looks like. Okay. All right. So great question. I don't see, is there any other questions, Kim,
Nope.
or comments?
Oh, wait, I'll take that back. My eyes missed one.
Okay.
This says the transportation report and the CDC data consolidation reports. Are these in the old or new portal? And they're both due June 15th.
Okay, so the pupil transportation and the CDC is all in the legacy portal, so the old portal. And they are all due by June 15th, and they have an audit window that's going to close on June 30th. So basically, everything has to be done by June 30th. Great question. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just jump into the legacy since she talked about that, and then we're going to start with the CDC. And that is the consolidated data collection that we call CDC. It has the non-public high school completer in it, the days in session, instructional program hours, ESU, information report. It's got a long title, and the report of suspension and expulsion. So we kind of broke them down. So the non-public high school completer, the purpose for that is to collecting and mandated state and federal reporting requirements. So again, it's due June 15th and it closes on June 30th. If your school has a 9th through 12th grades, your system will provide a message. That is said wrong. If your school has 9th or 12th grade, you're going to have to complete it. If you don't have those grades, then you're going to get a message that says you don't have to complete this. So it just applies to if you have 12th graders, the high school levels. And then you're going to be reporting the students by the completion and by the gender and the race. And there's instructions on there that gives you definitions for the codes and the examples and some example situations. And then for the days in session, that is for Rule 10 and 14 compliance. And it is, again, due on the 15th of June and it will close on the June 30th. So the 15th to the 30th is that kind of audit window that NDE departments will kind of start going in there and they will look at information and then they will submit maybe contact you and say, hey, you need to go ahead and look at this. This doesn't seem right, or things like that, and have conversation with you. So that's what that audit window is, and that gives you the opportunity to adjust information if you need to. And it has two different reports. So it has a days in session, and then it has instructional program hours too. So it's kind of two reports in one. And then we have the days in session instructional program hours. So the days in session is the actual number of days in school is open with the teachers and the students. And you're going to report that to the nearest 10th. And pre-kindergarten is not required, so it does not have to be completed. And then late start and early dismissal days may count as part of the day or full day. It all depends on your school policy. So really have to talk to your administrator and review your school policy to figure out if the late start or the early dismissal days count or not count. And then the second section is the instructional program hours. And that's actual instructional program hours in session for the school year. And then we're not counting their pre-kindergartners. You can exclude the lunchtime and the recess and passing time. That's all part of your school board policy. So whether it should be included or not, have a conversation with your administrator if you're filling it out for your school. And the hours vary between grades. So if hours vary between grades represented in one column, in the sections, you're going to report the lower number. So I don't know how to explain that better. Let me. So if it sometimes there's like you have two sections and one of them is lower and one has higher numbers, I guess is based. You can always pick the lower number and that report that. Is that the best way to explain it, Kim?
Yeah, basically, that's exactly what you said.
So,
Where if they
yeah,
vary,
if they vary, yeah, because we
so
get
like if
tickets
your
about
10th
that.
grade day is shorter than your 12th grade day or vice versa, report the shorter one.
Sort of, yeah, because we get tickets on that occasionally. Um, so then we have the ESU District System School Information Report. So basically, this report is to tell us general contact information for your school and what grade levels, and if there's a building closure or a new building. It does have to be completed, even if you don't have any changes. You still need to complete this information so that NDE knows that everything is the same. And again, it's due June 15th and closes on June 30th. And then we have the report of suspension and expulsion. And this is just collecting mandated state and federal reporting requirements for the students that have been suspended or expelled. And it's due the 15th and closes on the 30th. So then that is all in one application. So one collection is the CDC. Then you have the pupil transportation, which it used to be in the CDC, but it's no longer located there. It's still in the legacy portal, but it has its own link in the tile of called data collections in the tab. So it opens on May 1st. You can upload your documents that need to be documented, your 80-day inspections for all vehicles and mileage reports. We are not, so if you accidentally upload a document and then you make a change or you have to do maybe you did upload it and then you found out that you need to add a change, you're just going to keep uploading it. We don't remove documents from that application, so you'll just keep uploading the proper documents. The forms are available on the Pupil Transportation website. There is a new 80-day inspection form, and this link will get you to the website for that information. And then you have assurance statements about drills, safety meetings, pre-trip inspections that will need to be read and verified. And there's also a section on there about emergency contact information. And then Stephanie wanted us to let you know that they are having the next Zoom meeting on May 18th at 1 p.m. About the pupil transportation. And the link to that meeting is available on their website, which will take you to this website. But I'm sure that I did not do it justice. So Stephanie, is there anything that you would like to add?
Well, basically what we tried to do this year is just really clean up this report, make it easy for districts to, to get through this quickly. We removed any unnecessary information. So, for example, wards of the court was removed. That's collected in another it's collected in advisor, homeless and wards of the court. So we removed that from pupil transportation. So if you see changes and something that you maybe had to gather last year and this year you don't see it there, it's because I don't need to collect that in pupil transportation. It doesn't relate to any payments related to pupil transportation. We really just need to know the mileage and the 80-day inspection report and your vehicle report. So anything related to directly to the transportation of students. So hopefully this will be an easier report, much more user-friendly for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me directly, and I'd like to, be able to help walk you through that. Again, please join our meeting that's coming up on the 18th. If you want to take a look at the pupil transportation report that opens on May 1st, and then join our meeting. If you have any questions, that's what that meeting is for, is to, if anybody's stuck, I don't want anybody to be stuck or struggling. So just join our meeting or contact me directly. Happy to help in any way we can.
So I have a question for you, Stephanie. Let's say I'm at a school and we don't provide transportation for our students or anything like that. Do I still have to complete this application?
That is a fantastic question. Yes, everybody needs to complete the report for this. So there is, when you log in, the first question says, check mark, I do not provide any pupil transportation. So if you do not provide transportation, please fill this out anyway, just so we can check mark you off the list. And as far as the emergency contact information, I wanted to share a little bit about that. We created a mutual aid contact list, which you can get only through me directly. We do not publicly post that. It is meant for if you're traveling for an activity and your vehicle breaks down, you can easily reference who is in your area that can bring a bus or a van and help get your kiddos off the road. We do not publicly post that because we do not want you flooded with spam. So if you would like a copy of that Google Doc list, then email me directly, stephanie.degroat@nebraska.gov. You can also find my contact information on the Pupil Transportation website. But please do share your information for the contact list. Because we want to make sure that everybody has access to, another bus or a van, or, to get your kids off the road, out of the elements, in a safer location. So
Stephanie, as we were talking, you're talking about the emergency contact. Now, if I don't provide transportation, will I be required to fill that out on the application? Because I don't, if I don't have transportation, would I still have to fill out that portion?
it's supposed to, it does have a requirement in there, but you can just put your name and put dash no transportation, just so that it meets the requirement, so that you can click approve.
Okay, so even though that I click the button that says I don't have transportation, I still need to fill out the contact information, and I still need to submit the application and approve the application.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yes, great question.
All right. Do we have any other questions about pupil transportation?
Not about pupil transportation in the
Okay.
chat.
All right. Do you have
Um,
it? What do you
And
want
I
us to
was
do that for?
researching, trying to find this answer, and I haven't found it yet. But we have a question about days, hours, for that days, and hours in session report.
Okay.
Hours for a 7th through 12 are requirements are different, which, a 7th grader versus
Sure.
so secondary school versus elementary, basically.
Sure.
And so I imagine
so
your
you're
question,
researching
Bridget, is
that.
how? I'm
Yes.
trying to find the exact
Okay.
wording on it.
That
And
sounds great.
also it kind of, what kind
Yeah.
of a school you're at. I was looking at that too, because if
Okay.
they're all classified as elementary, then it tells you right on the report what the minimum hours is. And Sandy may be even a better for this, because she's the one who right, Sandy? Would this be accreditation,
I'm
days
sorry,
and
which
hours?
one? Which one, Kim?
They have a question about the days and hours in session report.
Yes, yes.
You know,
So the
how would they
7th through
report that? Because 7th through 12th graders, there's different hour requirements for them.
There's something in the instruction manual about that, I believe. Is there an instruction manual along with this one?
There are instructions right on the collection itself, and also down where you're putting in your hours, that is divided out by the different grade groups,
grade
you
levels,
know,
yeah,
like
definitely.
Right.
kindergarten is its own elementary, which elementary is generally K through 8, correct?
In the non-publics, many of them are K through 8, yes.
That's what I thought. And then secondary is divided out too, because there are different hour requirements for those two different grade levels.
Right.
Mhm.
So
So-
the question is like within the elementary, if the third graders don't go to school as long as the fourth graders, is that what you're asking?
I'm not for sure. Bridget, you want to give us some more clarification on your question? You can unmute yourself.
Sure, quick question. I'm a 7-12 school, and so when I go back to recording instructional hours and days in session, we're trying something new this year where we are letting our 7th and 8th graders out of school a few days before everybody else, because obviously they're under Rule 10 with the K8 requirement for 1032. And so when I fill out this report, is it going to break the 7th and 8th grade? I'm trying to remember from last year, break them apart from my high school? Do I report it 2 times? Or you said report the lower of the 2, but I don't want to do that because my high schoolers are coming back to fulfill their hours.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to get back to you on the answer for that because I'm just not sure. Because also, if your 7th and 8th graders are included with your high school, they're considered secondary, and that wouldn't be the same as a K8 setting.
Okay. So I was just curious. We only did that this year, and we're only doing it this semester where they're getting out like on Friday, and the high schoolers are coming back to take finals for 3 days the following week. And so when I get to the point where I'm filling this out, do I record all of my days that we had teachers and students, or am I recording my junior high days? So that's my.
I think what we need to do is, Bridget, I want to make sure that you have completed the survey so we have your email. And then we will send you a follow-up or create a ticket for you and get that specifically answered for you. And then if there is some like information for everybody, then we'll send out a follow-up email to everybody regarding this situation.
Okay, wonderful. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Stacy.
You're welcome. So the next question is a K through 8 setting considered elementary even with a 7th or 8th? That'd be you, Sandy.
Yeah, so most of our K through 8 settings are labeled as an elementary school.
Okay.
And you can tell that by what you're called under the NDE name, the official name, it'll say, St. Robert Bellarmine Elementary School, even though they have 7th and 8th grade, they're considered an elementary.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Good questions. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So I clicked that link. I lost my presentation. I found it back. Okay. So, we are moving on to in the presentation we just finished up with pupil. We just talked a little bit about some CDC, and now we're going to move into staff reporting. So staff reporting is basically, remember, if you didn't see the coffee hour about staff reporting 101, I refer you back to that. There's a lot of departments that use that information, and it's used in a variety of ways. And it's very important for you to have it finalized by June 30th, especially days worked for subs, because that's how they get recertified. And If it's not in there, then you have to go through a whole late request process, and it's just a lot easier if you can get the information put in there before June 30th. You also want to make sure that if there's any changes with staff throughout the school year, um, maybe somebody left in the middle of the year, you need to put an end date on that person, and then you have a sub or something that is a long-term sub or whatever, or somebody else is taking on another role to cover for that person, then you want to adjust FTEs, things like that. So you want to just verify. You also want to go in the staff reporting and make sure that the name of the school is in green. If it's in red, that means you have errors. So you want to make sure you fix that, fix any errors in that. So again, I suggest that you would go start in the staff reporting and look at that information first, and then move into the NSRS validation. And there you would want to review the verification reports. Also, you might want to start with, if you have errors, then you want to look at your errors first, because there's 2 spots for errors. You're going to have errors in staff reporting, and then you have different types of errors in NSRS validation. Again, I'm going to refer you back to that Staff Reporting 101 for the coffee hour. The link is available on the website, and you can look at that information. But there is 3 errors that we have, or warnings. I guess there are more warnings, but that have been added. So if you did not see the bulletin about this and NSRS validation, you might have these populated for your school. And so I kind of wanted to just bring some highlight to them. The first one is the warning 594, and this is a staff reported with a active certificate, and that it's going to expire in 6 months or so. And so it's just another checkpoint for you so that you're aware that this person's certificate is going to expire in 6 months. And so that way you're just aware. And the next one is a warning 596. And this is when your name in the staff reporting. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to use Kim, you and I as an example for this. So in staff reporting, we have Stacy Pauling reported in staff reporting, but when we go into NDE, when it looks back to NDE staff ID, it shows that it's got Kim Powell on that ID, or it says Stacy, I don't know, Stacy Smith. So did Stacy change her name, or she mismatched with the wrong ID, or is there a duplicate ID? So basically, it's just looking at the staff reporting ID and our staff reporting information, and looking at the NDE staff ID and seeing if the names match up. If they don't match up, then I would start, because most of the time the staff reporting has the accurate name or the person at that time. And what happens is we've noticed is a lot of people get married and their information in the NDE staff ID doesn't get updated to reflect the married name or the changed name. So you can, most of the time, these error warnings can be resolved by you just going in there and updating the last name and the main information. Now, we have been finding some duplicates, staff IDs. I shouldn't say we have been. The schools that are going and reviewing this information, they're searching the person's name, and then they find that there's 2 IDs. So when you do find 2 IDs for a staff member, please create a ticket with the NDE service desk, and we will start a review process to get 1 ID for that person. And then the next question that we're getting a lot is, well, this person has been got married, but her teaching certificate is still reflecting her maiden name. It is the responsibility of the teacher to contact the NDE CERT team to have the certificate updated to the new name. It's my understanding it's a very, very easy process. They just need to send a email to the CERT team, and then they'll walk them through that process. And my understanding is it does not cost them anything for that name change update on the certificate either. The next warning is 597, and this deals with the new substitute teaching permit. It's called a paraprofessional substitute teaching permit. We are not familiar. This is a very new certificate, so we're not super familiar if a lot of non-publics have paras in their school system and that are getting this paraprofessional substitute teaching permit. And if they do get this permit, it's, I pulled it up so that we would have it. And I'll drop it in here if you want to look at it. It's a certificate that the paras can get to be a sub for a certified teacher. We're not for sure if non-publics are utilizing this or not, but we do want to make you aware that if you get a sub and they have somebody with this paraprofessional substitute permit, they can only sub in their school district that they are a para. So if they're a para in a public school system, they can't come over to a non-public school system and be a sub for you. They can only do it in their place of employment, their full-time employment. So we just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. If you have run across with a substitute or somebody that says, I have a paraprofessional substitute teaching permit, it only applies for that specific school system. And again, if you do have paras that have this substitute teaching certificate and are being a sub for your certified teachers, then they can only do it for 45 days and it cannot be over more than 5 days consecutive, right? It's so new, I have to double check. No more than 5 of those days can be consecutive. Thank you, Kim. Yep. And if you have any questions about that, here is the CERT team's email address. You can email them for with any questions regarding that. Is there any questions or continue on? Kim, what would you like me to do?
I mentioned to the two ladies who had asked about the days in session report that we would just send an email out after we had researched further with the varying minutes or hours between grade levels. Perfect.
Okay, just some reminders that we heard back from the departments when we send out. We were like, hey, we're doing this. What would you like us to tell them to include in our coffee hour? One of them is to be aware of the due dates. NDE must meet federal due dates, and they are not going to be accepting late requests as much as they have in the past. And so if you don't meet the like the due dates of June 30th, like right now we're talking about June 30th, if you don't have your information done, you might possibly get denied when you send in your late request. So it's very, 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 very important. I just can't stress that you get your information in before June 30th and make sure and review the reports that it's accurate. And that's the next thing, is that if it's not accurate, you can lose funding. So it's just very important for you to get that information in the appropriate amount of time.
We do have a question going back to the para substitute certificate. Do we report the number of days the paras subbed? Okay,
that's a great question. So who asked that? So are they utilizing, do they have paras?
That was Julie up in South Sioux City.
Yeah, that was me. I know we have a couple that have done it a few times. but so I didn't know if I had to add a line
Do
to
they
them.
have that do they have that new para substitute certificate, or do they have a regular substitute
I
certificate?
think it's the para one. I'll double check with HR.
Okay, very
But it-
interesting. That's what I wanted to confirm because we were just curious if any non-publics were utilizing this, and so that's what I wanted to
Yeah, it hasn't
confirm.
been very much, but I've heard a couple times like, oh, I subbed in art or something like that.
Okay.
And
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, the proper way is that you would report them as a sub in staff reporting, and then you would report their days worked.
okay.
So I'm
So could they
assuming
have
that
two lines in there?
yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Yep.
So one with their para and then one, and then the dates can still be the same as the whole school year?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Great.
Okay.
Thank you for letting us know because we were wondering about, we had a whole conversation about that. Do non-publics utilize this or not? So
Yep.
thank you.
Okay. I'll double check on with HR on all that too. So
Yeah, so they would need the day's work to help them get recertified. So this is
okay.
good for 5 years, but they would need that information to help them with the
Okay.
recertification process.
Thank
So
you so much.
yeah, no problem. Great question. Okay, so we have 15 minutes left. Is there any other questions before I move on to the new portal, Kim?
Nope. No
Okay.
others in there yet.
Okay. So the new portal, we have advisor person ID, and we just wanted to do the reminder of how you would confirm the students for the 25-26. You can go to your main menu, and there's a download button, and you can click your school. You can say all schools 25-26, and it will download all your students that have a record in person ID. And then anybody that's been not listed, you can just go in and you can manually add them if you need to, or if you just want to make sure and just do an end of the year upload, you could do an end of the year upload too. It all depends on what you're comfortable with and how you would like to review that information. The other thing that we wanted to remind you is that in Advisor Person ID, the 26-27 school year does come available in June of 2026. So if you are working over the summer and you want to work on getting that information started to upload into Advisor Person ID, because we do recommend that all school systems upload all their students every year at the beginning of the school year. So you could start working on that in the 26-27. I know in larger districts in June, they'll start working on their kindergartners and things and start creating that information. And again, that's tied to like direct cert and certification and things like that. So we just want to remind you that it does come available in June of 2026 for the 26-27 school year. And that is pretty much all we had. We have some resources here that we got some links. And we also have pupil transportation. We put Stephanie's email on here as a resource. We are also doing some office hours that there's a link for that. If you need a little have a quick question or something like that, you can book some time with us and we have some office hours available at the end of the school year if you would like to do that. Or you can always submit us a ticket at the nde.servicedesk@nebraska.gov and we will answer and help assist in any way that we can do that way too. So is there any other questions that anybody else would like to ask? We have like Sandy here with accreditation. If you have some other questions, we have Stephanie here with pupil and me and Kim, and we're more than happy to answer any additional questions.
Oh,
Can I put those links in the chat? Which link?
Hi, that was my question. I'm not able to click on, I'm not able to click on like the staff reporting guide, the non-public guidance, staff reporting 101, pupil transportation. I just want to double check that the resources that I've already downloaded in the past are the same ones that you're referencing today.
Sure.
And then
So my question for you, Sarah, is did you get the PowerPoint off of the SIPs and Systems website?
No, but I can. Is it embedded in there?
Yes.
Great.
Yep.
I will look at that.
Yeah. So if you could go to the bottom, it's kind of hidden. So if you open this, it's right here and you can download it and you should be able to get those links and for that
Okay.
information. Um,
Okay, and then my second question is for Sandy.
sure.
Sandy, you know me as the principal at St. Bernard Catholic School. After this school year, I will not be the principal here any longer. So could we arrange a time, just for my knowledge of any kind of things, transitional pieces that would need to be done between myself and my secretary or myself and the new principal, that kind of a thing, so that I leave everything in good working order for the next person?
Yeah, sure, Sarah. You're welcome to shoot me an email and we can set something up if you'd like.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. Before anybody leaves, I do want to share this other survey link that we have. It's just to gather ideas for next school year. So we have the dates scheduled for our coffee hour for next school year. And we just want to make sure that we're talking about things that you're interested in and not us guessing. And so we just created this quick little survey that you could just tell us some topic ideas, and we would appreciate it just to help us plan for the next school year. So I put that link in the chat. Anything else, ladies, that you would like to say before so 11:49, so we're doing good in time. So I'm not going to keep them if we don't have anything, but if you guys will have some last parting words, you're welcome to say something.
Yeah, thank you, Stacy and Kim, for holding this. And I just wanted to let the non-publics know if you have any questions at all, reach out anytime. We're here to support you in all ways.
Okay. All right. Well, with nothing else being said or asked, we will go ahead and let you go, and we will send up some follow-up. Sounds like a follow-up email with all those questions that we're researching, and we'll get that out in the next week or so. And what is the responsibility? Oh, what is the responsibility for the public school districts when it comes to reporting non-publics? Okay. Janet is from, Janet, you're a public district. And so what are you trying to ask? Can you come unmute? Janet, are you still there?
There we go. Okay,
Okay.
sorry. My headphones weren't working this whole meeting. So just for a clarification standpoint, and we've heard so many different things, and I know that they're trying, but we've always had to keep track of the non-pubs. And so we send out letters, to the schools. Some reply, some don't. And so I guess I just wanted to have it more clarified in terms of what it is we are.
Are you referring to census?
Huh?
Are you referring to the census?
I think it is. That's what I think. I just need clarified as to are you going to be able to get that data from them now if they're updating their SIS in the state, or how? Is that?
So they don't have to report as detailed information as a public school district. So we recommend all school systems to do an upload for advisor person ID.
Right.
But for I think you're talking about the census report, and that information is a federal report. Okay, Stephanie,
and this may not be the meeting to do that, but I just really.
We have Stephanie here. She can help with that.
Okay, great.
Yes, so the census information is collected by my department, school finance, and you will need to collect for the census reporting is reported by the public schools. So for any non-publics in your district, please reach out to them ahead of the collection and see if you can get a head count of who lives in the district, whose option. things like that, because that is reported by you. We don't collect that from the non-publics.
Do the non-pubs know that we need to collect that?
Yes, that's reported through the homeschool district.
Okay.
Here's what I found.
Sorry, how I picked up my Siri. Whatever. Okay, thank you.
All right,
Yes.
good question. All right, is there any other questions before we sign off? All right, I don't hear anything or see anything coming through. I thank you for your time, and we do appreciate it if you could fill out the survey to give us some topic ideas, and have a great day. Kim, you want to stop recording?